The Janjabureh Bicentenary Commemoration Festival has commenced on Friday with a symposium on slavery, freedom, return, reparation, the Kirio, and tourism. Speaking at the symposium, Dr. Balasaho, Associate Professor in the Oklahoma State University in the United States, says that the only way to make Janjabureh a center for tourism is to create some of the old colonial structures in the island.
Fashion George this island as the Zanzibar of Kenya, for example, or the Mombasa of Tanzania. In other words, how can we take advantage of Janjabureh and its location to make it or turn it as a gem of tourism in the Gambia and as a destination where every tourist, visitor, or student must visit? Is it possible, for example, along with the stone circles and our ancient histories, to retrace and rebuild these rich histories into a gemstone that would amaze the world and make the Gambia a must-visit destination?
He also stated that by building some of the traditional villages around Janjabureh will encourage visitors from outside of the Gambia.
The international trade and even the internal trade continued well into the 19th century. In fact, some historians believe that the famous Barra War of 1831 and wars in Nyomi and Badibu were largely a result of the continuation of the slave trade. So why can't we rebuild these villages and sites to tell our own version of slavery and the slave trade as a way to draw in Africans in the diaspora and those interested in the general history of slavery and the slave trade? My third point, and most importantly, is to exploit the river by centering Georgetown. To me, the river offers us the best and richest natural products to market the Gambia as a destination. No river in the world, and let me repeat that, no river in the world has 6 tributaries or junctions or intersections populated by hippos. Right?
Dr. Nana Gray Johnson, a professor at the University of the Gambia, gives a brief history of the island.
How does Georgetown come into the issue? Overconcentration, disease in Bathurst, which started in Freetown, congestion, and the agreement of 1831 to offload to Banjul, to Bathurst. And Bathurst became congested. And the names you have heard just now, the Pignards, the Joiners, had to come in and show their enterprise by providing the flotilla of canoes. And they say, well, there must be an agreement to halve at least the population of Bathurst. And then Georgetown was carved out of Janjabureh to create this provincial settlement. And of course, it ties in. Georgetown, this river island, it's 158 miles, right? Correct me, 158 miles from Bathurst, was born out of the primary colonial interest in the need for planting of British authority in the hinterland. Several reputable historians, J.M. Gray among them, attributed the success in establishing a Gambian protectorate to Captain Alexander Grant. Governor Macaulay of Sierra Leone, reported that many more merchants and inhabitants of Bathurst had requested land and had strongly recommended that the new settlement was ideally suitable for the location of a considerable number of liberated Africans. This coincided with the growing concern about so much sickness and congestion, which we've talked about, and the most enterprising liberated Africans, Charles Pignard and Thomas Joyner, were on hand to bring them here. By 1836,
Dr. Asansar, Associate Professor in the University of Ohio, United States of America, says that since the early 19th century, the island of Janjabureh was part of a tightly beaded, extensive empire. For his part, Dr. Pap Basand, Associate Professor at the University of Sheikh Anta Diop in Dakar, says that the history of slave trade is still little known to the public.
In relation to slavery, we have to ask ourselves, what is the injustice or the prejudice we are asking to be repaired, or what is the injustice that is repairable, that they can repatriate, or that they can restitute? That's the question. Or otherwise, if I put a comma, I can say, is repatriation and restitution, the students, if you happen to be my students, is reparation, is repatriation and restitution a form of reparation? We are looking for an injustice, a prejudice. Now we are asking the question whether restitution and repatriation is a form of reparation for Africans.
Janjabureh Island was first settled by Western traders in the 15th century, but in the 19th century it was no longer a visible trading post due to frequent wars between Wuli and Nyani, subsequently became the dominance of the British. Formerly named Makati Island after Sir Charles Makati, former Governor General of the British West African Territories, in 1982, the island was also populated by liberated Africans, and the town gradually became an administrative and economic center for the Gambia. Reporting from Janjabureh CRR, I am Aissatou Koli.